Things you may not know about COVID-19. COVID-19, the virus has spread across the world and has had a major impact on many lives. Not too long before this video was made, 3 vaccines were introduced to the general public. Despite the virus being at the center of almost everyone's life, there are still some things many people do not know about the virus. So in this video, we are going to teach you some things you may not know about the coronavirus, the causes and effects of the virus, facts, and more. COVID-19 is a coronavirus, and coronavirus comes from the Latin word for the crown, corona, due to the crown-like spikes on the surface of the individual viruses. The beer brand Corona was severely affected by the emergence of the virus, and understandably, as it was associated with the pandemic everyone was suffering through, even though they were only named after a crown. The virus has spread throughout the world, infecting every continent but Antarctica early on until December 21, 2020. There are also 14 countries that haven't reported any COVID cases. 12 of the 14 are islands in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, benefiting from bordering only the ocean. The other 2 countries are North Korea and Turkmenistan, whose zero reports have drawn skepticism from other countries as they border many populous countries that have had many cases of the virus. COVID spreads through droplets in the air, and it was initially feared that the disease spread through touched surfaces. However, scientists have found that, while the virus can survive on surfaces, it is very rare for someone to contract the disease through that surface. The airborne transmission is still incredibly dangerous and makes masks during this pandemic necessary. The United States government passed a $900 billion package to support people and institutions during the pandemic in late December of 2020, and this is a good thing as it helps many people that are struggling. One of the interesting bills that were passed with the package was one where a committee was created to regulate the use of performance-enhancing drugs in horse racing. Next, we'll talk about the vaccines. Many people have reported experiencing side effects from getting the vaccine, especially after the second dose. These include pain and/or swelling at the site of injection, as well as headaches, nausea, fever, chills, and tiredness. While these may seem like bad things, of course, they aren't fun. These are actually good signs. According to the CDC, these side effects are normal signs that your body is building protection. A major misconception about vaccines is that as soon as you get them, you are immediately immune to the virus. However, they only fully kick in 2 weeks after you get your final dose. Before those 2 weeks are up, you can still contract the virus. The vaccine allows for you to gather with other fully vaccinated people without masks, but it is still recommended that masks and other safety protocols are followed in public for the time being. A slightly more dangerous misconception is that many people think, since they aren't at risk for complications from the virus, they don't need the vaccine. This mirrors a similar argument around masks. In both cases, these actions are taken for the safety of others. Masks are most important to stop you from giving the virus to someone else, and the more people that have the vaccine, the safer than others are. Taking the vaccine will help you protect your family and the community as a whole. While the vaccines have gotten immense media coverage as preventative measures of the virus, very few people have heard that there is actually a treatment for the virus while someone is infected. The drug Redeliver, aka Velcuri, has been approved by the FDA to treat patients with COVID-19. The drug has proven to speed up the recovery time for the patient. The antibody mAb has also been approved for people with mild to moderate COVID-19. It was used to treat Donald Trump when he was diagnosed with COVID-19. With all this talk about physical health, many people have neglected their mental health during this pandemic. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, the number of adults who reported symptoms of anxiety or depression rose by 30% from the first half of 2019 to January of 2021. These numbers don't even include the massive amounts of young adults who are already under massive stress. The pandemic made it so that people have not been able to see their friends as often, as well as taking away many things that people have used to cope with. This includes travel, parties, and almost any social event. The movement to online schooling and working from home has also been very difficult for many people. This pandemic has also had a massive economic impact. There was a high peak in GDP, or gross domestic product, in the fourth quarter of 2019 in the US. The country underwent 2 straight quarters of declines in GDP, including recording its largest quarterly drop in economic output in recorded history at 9.1% in the second quarter of 2020. Since the GDP started being recorded in 1947, the previous highest drop in GDP in a quarter had been 3%. For those who may not be so familiar with GDP, it is the total value of all finished goods and products, so a drop of 9.1% is massive and detrimental for a country's economy. One of the biggest unknowns regarding COVID today is how the vaccines will do against some of the different variants of the virus that we are discovering as of now. Officials believe that the vaccines currently in circulation will be effective against most variants, but in the event that a strain transmits despite the vaccine, adjustments will be made to the vaccines in order to combat those variants. Currently, there are many things about this virus that are frightening, but as the vaccines begin to spread, hopefully, we can get back to a new normal. There are still many things that we have not yet discovered about the virus, but not all hope is lost. Let's believe in the scientists and doctors and continue to support them through this all. If you enjoyed watching this video, smash the thumb